Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson, and it's awesome to have you here on this terrific Tuesday. Let's get you what you need to know. If you're in the FM area, you probably looked up at the skies, got hit in the eyeball by a raindrop, and maybe even a little ice ball. That's right. Crystal clear balls of ice called sleet were falling from a brief little hiccup in the clouds. I'll have details on what you could expect there, but first a quick message from my sponsors at Robert Gibb and Sons. If you've been thinking of upgrading your heating and air conditioning system, now is the perfect time to give Robert Gibb and Sons a call. They are a premier Bryant dealer. Upgrade to that Bryant system and they're going to throw in that water heater for free. You remember, any water heater that's more than 10 years old, it's time. Peace of mind, efficiency, get the whole ball of wax. Call my friends, Robert Gibb and Sons. They'll get you taken care of. All right, Cheryl, good to hear from you as well in Park Rapids. Say hi, check in. That's what makes Hutch's weather interactive. That's what makes Hutch's weather more funner. Now, let's take a look at this radar because there's some interesting stuff going on as we take a look into the afternoon hours. Oh boy, look at these little tiny blips on the radar screen passing through Hillsboro, Mayville, into the Fargo-Moorhead area. And I just happened to sneak outside just as we crossed into the 3 o'clock hour as this little hiccup right here moved through. Whoop, that little thing right there. Little balls of ice were on the windshield of my car and some raindrops as well. It's not going to impact your travel. It's not going to impact traffic. It's showing up as rain though, but what's happening up at cloud level, it's colder. And we have little ice balls up there, and they don't melt by the time they make their way down. Kind of a cool thing. That's called sleet, and that's what we have, or had, briefly in the FM area. Thief River falls into parts of Red Lake County, seeing some of this activity, maybe some of it reaching the ground as we look in towards the Nadawash area as well. And this is all drifting slowly south on some pretty stout northerly winds heading into our afternoon. Let's take a look at your current conditions real quick, and then we'll get right to your forecast here as I pop on the analytics with regards to our temperatures across our area. Okay, here's the detailed display. Now this will have wind barbs on here as we switch over to the local conditions. Here we go. Okay, the wind barbs. You'll see on these illustrations here that we have these little, what look like arrows pointing toward the city dot. So I'm circling one out here. This one looks to be out near Bagley. So, hey, Nathan, good to have you on board as well. So you see this little thing right here? That's called a wind barb. I'm just drawing it right there. That's the wind barb. So if I kind of erase my little drawing here, I'll show you that if you want to think as the city dot, as the center of the observation station, just draw an arrowhead and that tells you the direction the wind is coming from. So this wind barb represents a north-northwest wind and it's about 10 miles per hour. So nothing too strong, but we have 1.5 barbs here. That would be closer to 15 miles per hour. Here's closer to 20 miles per hour. You get the picture. So winds around the area are sustained at around 20 miles per hour. We do have a few areas that are getting some gusts at this time as well, so keep that in mind as well. Temperature 41 Grand Forks as we've cooled down to 45 after reaching 50 in Fargo. It's 48 in Jamestown. Now that's the red digits. Those are your readings for temperature. In Carrington, it's 46. By the way, the little green number, that's called the dew point temperature, and that's the temperature we have to cool the air down to cause the air to become saturated. So it's fairly dry here in the lower atmosphere. So most of these sprinkles not likely making their way into the lower ground. Avis, good to hear from you. Good to have you watching as well. Hope all your procedure there went well. And Brenda, thank you for joining. Now let's take a look here at what we have going on. You want to see the national picture? This is really wild and this is real ugly. Now it's a little early for Hutch's weather, so thanks for sharing the word here. I've got an appointment I've got to go to here at 4 o'clock, so it's just a piece early, but I want to make sure I can get to that appointment. Here's a look at what's going on nationally. Do you see this? We have winter storm warnings in the Northeast, winter storm watches upstate New York into the Massachusetts area, winter storm warnings for most of Wisconsin's all the way up into the Duluth Superior area. And we have tornado watches right now in the Central Plains where the weather has been very active and some stout and potentially strong tornadic thunderstorms expected tonight in the deep south as a possibility. So very active weather nationally, but for us, hey, we can say that we have some fun in the sun to enjoy. Let's get right to your forecast, and this is what you need to know. Number one, the wind will be from the north, and it'll be sustained around 20 miles per hour throughout the night. So if you are taking the dog for a walk, walking the llama, the chicken, you name it, whatever you put on a leash, make sure that you know you're going to have some winds to contend with. They're coming from a cool northerly direction. As we go through the overnight hours, your temperature in your town looks like this. Grand Forks and Fargo near 30 degrees. This is your out the door forecast. 27 Bismarck, maybe a little bit cooler up near Lake of the Woods. How about 28 for War Road? Thief River 30, 28 for Babe the Blue Ox in Bemidji, and in Lakes Country near 30 to 31 degrees from Wahpeton, Breckenridge into Lake Traverse and all the way out into Battle Lake. It looks like some pretty pleasant conditions there with that north breeze. It'll be just a little biting, but the weather does get more inviting as we take a look at some weird wildness going on Wednesday. Weird, wild Wednesday. Yep, weather wobbles indeed. North winds will persist, but notice this. I did not have a flip around moment with the winds here. I'm just trying to point out that they will be from the north in the early part of the afternoon. As we go through, the winds will decrease, and they will decrease from west to east. And as you go out to the far, far west, out there in places like Rame, Bowman, Hettinger, Glendive, Montana, Baker, Montana, Ekalaka, Montana, all those fun Montana places to name in the southeastern portion of the state. How about 70s for y'all? And the wind will be from the south. So we're going to undergo a little bit of a transformation as we go from Wednesday late into Thursday. North winds decreasing, clouds decreasing, conditions on the up and up. How good does it get? Well, it looks pretty good, Paula Stone. Let's take a look at that for you. Hi, Diane. Good to have you on board as well. It's a pleasure to see you. Check this out, would you? Okay, I've shaved off a couple of degrees off that Saturday forecast, but I still think there's a chance at that 69 to 70 degree reading somewhere. There's just a little weather wiggle heading our way on the transition into Sunday and Monday. And I do have a couple of points to point out about this, but let's get to the early week forecast here. Wednesday, hump day, 52 degrees with a very good chance as you go through the midday and afternoon hours of hearing those sirens. Yeah, it's the first Wednesday of the month in the FM area. So if you're hearing sirens, it's the testing day for the month of April. 56 as we say hello spring on Thursday. A beautiful thaw indeed. And we will have temperatures even in the morning hours that spring to above freezing, and we stay there. A couple of points as we go into the weekend. The fire danger is likely to increase as we go through the day, particularly when we go from Thursday late into Friday and Saturday. Wind gusts over 30 miles per hour, dry vegetation exposed everywhere from last year's fall season. And because of the wind and the low humidity, our fire danger will likely be elevated. So pay attention to that in the forecast as we go through the late week. Then here's the caveat to the forecast for the weekend. It looks like there's going to be a storm that will skirt along the South Dakota border. The best chance of rain will be south, and temperatures will be warmer north. If you're in Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, even Walhalla, you may be warmer than some along the South Dakota border. We'll have a chance of some inclement cloudy and gray weather making its way through. It does not look like a drought buster. It does not look like a soggy soaker of an event. And then it returns to some terrific clearing and pleasing conditions as we head into your Tuesday. 50 wonderful degrees. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Nancy. That's a quick update for what you need to know. Now, I have an update coming up for you later. We're going to focus a little bit about this. I've had a request, so I'm going to try to touch on that. And that request is, there is a big event coming. What's the big event? Yeah, you may have heard the word, but I think there's going to be this little thing called an eclipse going on. Now, this is from my friends at NASA, a solar eclipse as we go through the 8th of the month. Okay, so we're talking about next Monday. What's the weather going to be like? And there's a lot of people traveling from our area trying to find out where they can go so they can witness this total eclipse that's going to be working its way across the nation. The time frame is midday to mid-afternoon, midday to mid-afternoon through the central and southern plains, all the way up into the northeastern United States. That's where the total eclipse will be visible. We're going to look at clouds on 3 different models, and Hutch will give you his hunch with regards to who might have the best, most goodest chance at seeing the total eclipse. That's coming tonight. I sure hope to see you. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Hutch's weather is on right here. Appreciate all of you very, very much. And again, a quick look at that radar. If you missed it, this is what's going on right now. Nationally, big time storms, winter weather events from the Great Lakes into the Northeast on tap, and severe weather potential in the Ohio River Valley straight down into the central Gulf Coast states, particularly central and northern ports of Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia as we head into the evening hours. Thanks so very, very much for your support of stars, and I will be back with an update tonight. Stay well.